From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the Hourly News Blast. Every morning, Abeer and Fadi Sobh wake up in their tent in the Gaza Strip to the same question: how will they find food for themselves and their 6 young children? The couple has three options. Maybe a charity kitchen will be open and they can get a pot of watery lentils, or they can try jostling through crowds to get some flour from a passing aid truck. The last resort is begging. If those all fail, they simply don't eat. It happens more and more these days as hunger saps their energy, strength, and hope. The predicament of the Sobs, who live in a seaside refugee camp west of Gaza City after being displaced multiple times, is the same for families throughout the war-ravaged territory. Hunger has grown throughout the past 22 months of war because of aid restrictions, humanitarian workers say. But food experts warned earlier this week that the worst-case scenario of famine is currently playing out in Gaza. Israel enforced a complete blockade on food and other supplies for 2.5 months, beginning in March. It said its objective was to increase pressure on Hamas to release dozens of hostages that it has held since its attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. Though the flow of aid resumed in May, the amount is a fraction of what aid organizations say is needed. A breakdown of law and order has also made it nearly impossible to safely deliver food. Much of the aid that does get in is hoarded or sold in markets at exorbitant prices. So here is a look at a day in the life of the Sobh family. The family wakes up in their tent, which Fadi Sobh, a 30-year-old street vendor, says is unbearably hot in the summer. With fresh water hard to come by, his wife Abeer, 29, fetches water from the sea. One by one, the children stand in a metal basin and scrub themselves as their mother pours the salt water over their heads. 9-month-old Hala cries as it stings her eyes. The other children are more stoic. Abeer then rolls up the bedding and sweeps the dust and sand from the tent floor. With no food left over from the day before, she heads out to beg for something for her family's breakfast. Sometimes neighbors or passers-by give her lentils. Sometimes she gets nothing. Abeer gives Hala water from a baby bottle. When she's lucky, she has lentils that she grinds into a powder to mix into the water. One day feels like 100 days because of the summer heat, hunger, and the distress, she said. Fadi heads to a nearby soup kitchen. Sometimes one of the children goes with him, but food is rarely available there, he said. The kitchen opens roughly once a week and never has enough for the crowds. Most often, he said, he waits all day but returns to his family with nothing, and the kids sleep hungry without eating. Fadi used to go to an area in northern Gaza where aid trucks arrive from Israel. There, giant crowds of equally desperate people swarm over the trucks and strip away the cargo of food. Often Israeli troops nearby open fire, witnesses say. Israel says it's only firing warning shots, and others in the crowd have knives or pistols to steal boxes. Fadi, who also has epilepsy, was shot in the leg last month. That has weakened him too much to scramble for the trucks, so he's left with trying the kitchens. Meanwhile, Abeer and her 3 eldest children, 10-year-old Yusuf, 9-year-old Mohammed, and 7-year-old Malik, head out with plastic jerry cans to fill up from a truck that brings fresh water from central Gaza's desalination plant. The kids struggle with the heavy jerry cans. Yusuf loads one onto his back while Mohammed half drags his little body bent sideways as he tries to keep it out of the dust of the street. Folks, this is a direct result of the ongoing Israeli war on people who are already downtrodden. It is genocide. It is the erasure of over 1 million people just for greed and territorial expansion. It is the utter destruction of the Palestinians. Children are dying because of actions initiated by Benjamin Netanyahu and supported by the Trump regime. We will be sharing photos of the devastation on the Pennsylvania Equality Project and PEP Radio social media pages. The photos tell more of the story than words ever could convey. We urge you to reach out to your U.S. representatives and senators and demand that they fight to end this war, starvation, and genocide. Our allies in Canada, the United Kingdom, France, and Malta have already called for this. We must take action to help these people. We must hold accountable those responsible for these deplorable conditions and bring them to justice. That's this rather long news blast for this hour. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.